The day my family betrayed me was the day I finally understood that being related to someone doesn't mean they will always treat you like family. My name is Emma Carter, and for most of my life, I believed my family was my safe place. I was wrong. It started with my father. He owned a small construction company in Ohio. It wasn't a huge business, but it had supported our family for more than 20 years. My father had built it from nothing, starting with one old truck and a toolbox. My older brother Jason was always his favorite. Everyone knew it. Jason was confident, charming, and good at making people believe he was more capable than he really was. I was different. I wasn't loud. I didn't demand attention. I worked quietly, solved problems, and rarely complained. When my father needed help with the company's accounts, I was the one who stayed up late fixing them. When customers stopped paying their bills, I was the one making calls. When the company nearly lost a major contract, I spent 3 weeks putting together a new proposal. My father always said the same thing. "Emma, you're the backbone of this family." I believed him. Then, one Friday afternoon, everything changed. My father called me into his office. Jason was already there. My father looked uncomfortable. "Emma, we've decided to make Jason the new manager." I stared at him. "Manager?" He nodded. I looked at Jason. He smiled. "You're good with numbers," he said, "but leadership isn't really your thing." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had practically kept that company alive. But before I could respond, my father placed an envelope on the desk. "We're also letting you go." The words hit harder than I expected. "Why?" My father wouldn't look me in the eyes. Jason answered for him. "Business decision." I looked at my father one last time. "Is that really what you think?" He finally looked at me. "I'm sorry." That was it. 20 years of being his daughter. Years of working for the family. And I walked out carrying one cardboard box. Nobody followed me. Nobody called. Nobody asked if I was okay. For the first time in my life, I understood something painful. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as useful. The next morning, I moved into a small apartment across town. I cried that first night. Not because I had lost my job, because I had lost the illusion that my family would always stand beside me. For weeks I struggled. I had bills, no steady income, no company, no family support. But I still had something they had forgotten about. I had the skills I had built over all those years. So I started small. I offered bookkeeping services to local businesses. One client became 3, 3 became 10. Then something unexpected happened. A restaurant owner asked me to help reorganize his entire business. Within 6 months, his profits increased dramatically. He introduced me to another business owner. That person introduced me to another. Soon, I had more work than I could handle. I hired 2 employees, then 5. A year later, I opened my own office. I wasn't trying to beat my family. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was simply trying to survive. But then, one afternoon, I received an email that changed everything. It was from my father. The subject line said, "Please call me." I almost deleted it. Instead, I opened it. His message was short. "Emma, we need your help." I stared at those words for a long time. The same family that had told me I wasn't good enough to lead now needed me. I called. My father's voice sounded tired. "The company is in trouble." I said nothing. Jason had made several bad decisions. They had lost major customers. The company owed money. Payroll was becoming difficult, and the bank was threatening to cancel their credit line. My father finally said the words I never expected to hear. "You're the only person who can fix this." I closed my eyes. For a moment, I remembered that cardboard box. The office. Jason's smile. My father's silence. Then I asked one question. "Why should I?" There was silence on the other end. "I know we hurt you." "You didn't just hurt me," I said. "You replaced me." My father started crying. I was wrong. Those 3 words were difficult to hear, not because I wanted an apology, because I had waited years for them, but I wasn't the same woman anymore. "I'll come," I finally said, "but not as your daughter." He went quiet. "I'll come as a business consultant." And I meant it. The following Monday, I walked back into the company. The same building, the same walls, the same people. But I was different. Jason was sitting behind my father's old desk. When he saw me, his face changed. "You actually came." I looked at him calmly. "You asked for help." He laughed nervously. "Don't think this means you're back in charge." I opened my laptop. "I'm not here for your position. I'm here to find out whether this company can survive." For the next 2 weeks, I worked quietly. I examined every account, every contract, every expense, every decision Jason had made, and then I found the real problem. It wasn't the economy, it wasn't the customers, it wasn't bad luck, it was Jason. He had been spending company money on unnecessary luxury expenses, expensive cars, private trips, personal purchases. He had also signed contracts without reading the details. The company wasn't failing because business was impossible. It was failing because someone had been treating the company like a personal bank account. I printed the records. Then I walked into my father's office. Jason was there. I placed the documents on the desk. "You're the reason the company is failing." Jason's face turned pale. "That's not true." I pointed to the numbers, then explained them. He couldn't. My father slowly picked up the documents. As he read them, his hands began to shake. He looked at Jason. "Is this true?" Jason said nothing. My father closed his eyes. Then he whispered, "How could you do this?" Jason stood up. "You always chose her." Everyone became silent. Jason looked at me. "You gave her everything." I stared at him. "Everything? You gave me nothing." He laughed bitterly. "You were always the perfect daughter." I shook my head. "No, Jason. I was just the daughter who stayed when things became difficult." That sentence broke something inside him. He walked out. My father remained sitting at his desk. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Finally, he said, "I'm sorry." This time, I believed him. But forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, and it didn't mean returning to the past. I helped restructure the company. I negotiated with creditors. I helped save the employees' jobs. Within 6 months, the company was stable again. My father offered me a permanent position. I refused. He looked surprised. "Why?" "Because I already built something of my own." He smiled through tears. "I understand." Before I left, he handed me the old toolbox he had used when he started the company. "I want you to have this." I held it in my hands. It wasn't expensive, but it meant something. I hugged my father, not because everything was suddenly perfect, but because I had finally accepted that some relationships can heal without becoming what they once were. Years later, my company became one of the most successful small business consulting firms in the state. I never used my success to humiliate my family. I never posted their mistakes online. I never tried to destroy them. My revenge was much simpler. I built a life they once believed I wasn't capable of building. And one evening, while I was leaving my office, I received a message from Jason. It said, "Emma, I'm proud of you." I stared at the screen. Then I smiled. I didn't reply, not because I hated him, because sometimes silence is the final answer. People often think revenge means making the person who hurt you suffer. I learned something different. Real revenge is becoming so strong that the person who once made you feel worthless no longer has the power to define you. My family betrayed me. They pushed me out. They believed I needed them. But in the end, I discovered something they never expected. I didn't need their approval to become successful. I didn't need their apology to move forward. And I didn't need revenge to heal. I only needed to believe in myself, because sometimes the people who walk away from you aren't taking your future with them. They're making room for it.